When you want to leak information to your frenemies, it's just go ahead and summon your local spy tailor and get your pants measured here on V'ger Please. A vile visit to Bajor. My name is Joseph.
I'm over here filling in my nerd backlog for credit, one major franchise at a time. I'm your co-host, Peter.
Peter, before we continue to talk about this episode of Star Trek that we seemingly just cannot get off of, we have all kinds of other things we want to bring to our audience's attention. I think primarily with the release of the shockingly fantastic Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown.
Not shockingly fantastic.
Okay. I guess it's not a surprise to us because we played the demo, but it kind of hit harder than I thought. There were some people who were like, wow, this is really good.
It's amazing. We called it.
Oh, yeah.
My only regret in all of this is that we were not able to get the developers to do an interview with us.
Yeah, we tried, based on the fact that they had interviews with all of the major, like, shall we say, Trek shilling platforms. I think you got a positive response from them initially, and I think we were politely ignored after they listened to our show. But I respect, right? You got to sell copies, and if going on like Trek movie or whatever is going to sell you more, that's what you should fucking do and ignore our ass. But,
absolutely.
But it does not diminish my enthusiasm for this game an iota. We already said like the Voyager concept is like doing an FTL style resource management game is like such a perfect fit. Getting into the game, I love resource management games, so I do resource management as a profession, so it's perhaps not a shock. I've got like 1,000 hours in Hearts of Iron 4, so I love stuff like that.
If for real quick, you don't know what we're talking about, it's Star Trek Across the Unknown.
Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. Yes.
Voyager.
Yes.
Which,
shocking there was a Voyager-themed video game in 2026.
That is shocking, but it's not shocking. It's good. I mean, Elite Forces was a Voyager spinoff, and that was great.
It was.
It's a like Fallout Shelter, which I also fell off the bandwagon and went back into that and put way too much time into this month. I'm disgusted with myself.
Now you have an excuse to put more time into something else.
I am disgusted with the amount of mobile gaming that I did in that and the amount of ads I watched to get fucking lunch boxes, and they were all shit. They were all shit. It was all money, and I have max money in Fallout. I have nothing to spend money on. I hope my Mr. Handies die in combat, so I have something to spend money on. It's like a Fallout Shelter meets XCOM meets what?
FTL
with a little bit of Civilization in there, maybe.
Yeah, it's I would say XCOM in particular, the base construction XCOM piece is quite highly reminiscent of like the management of Voyager itself. Yeah, I've played maybe about 4 or 5 hours so far. I haven't.
Let me see here. I'm at 8.5, and when I tell you that all of that has been played well after midnight,
I bet.
The struggle it was for me to get up this morning because I played this motherfucker till 3. A work night. I fell asleep on the couch when I got home from work, and I didn't mean to sleep. And I woke up, and it was 12:30 a.m. I played the fucking game till 4 a.m. And then I woke up at 7.
That is peak middle-aged gaming if I've ever seen it.
I got a real problem with this game, Joe.
Yeah, I've been just playing it on the normal difficulty as I learn the systems. There's a lot of systems to manage. There's a lot of resources to manage. All of them are important in different ways because all of the maps are randomly generated. You kind of have to
slight degree. I mean,
some things are always more necessary than others, but like you do, like I was cruising and then I just like couldn't find deuterium for like 2 sectors, and then I was really fucked after that. And it's because I got too fast and loose with assuming I was going to continue to find what I thought was a common resource, and it wasn't. So the game will punish you for that in a way that I think definitely makes you have to play authentic to the idea of you're alone on the other side of the galaxy and you're trying to get home. Also, the way that space combat works in it, and that you're almost always superior to your opponent, but you're deeply incentivized not to fight because when you get damaged, it really sucks.
Takes forever to fix that hull. It took me. How long did it take for you to figure out how to repair the hull with repair crews?
Fortunately, I was streaming it on Discord with some other people when I was initially like playing my first time, and so we as a collective figured that out pretty quick.
This game is brand new, and it's a small studio, and it's a very niche product, right? Like to you and me, this thing is cyberpunk.
Yes,
I've been sweating this thing for months
since it was announced. Yeah,
but there is like next to no YouTube contents. There's zero play guides. There's nothing out there telling you like how do I get what's his face from Eye of the Needle to join the crew. It is fuck you, you're on your own. This is the Wild West right now. So like it took me probably a good 40 minutes worth of trying to find out how to assign crews to repair the hull while Balana's yelling at me. I'm like, everything else has a tutorial and like little glowing buttons except for that.
I will say I did figure out the Eye of the Needle thing.
I found out too, Joe, on my 7th playthrough of State of Flux, because you can't save scum in this game.
No.
Okay, what you can do is go, oh, fuck, I botched that, and I wasn't able to get him to join the crew, or just something. My first playthrough of State of Flux, each not sector, what are they? You've got local sector.
You've got the local systems, then you have the system map of the sector, and then you go from sector to sector. So the idea is you can kind of like explore and get distracted by bullshit, and then the game starts to punish you if you do that for too long, which I'm sure you appreciate it. Like the crew's like, what the fuck are you still dicking around? You need to go home.
I haven't gotten that yet. But like the sectors represent story clusters, and there's like the Skevians, right? Which was Prime Factors. Very vivid one for me. I love Prime Factors. I love the Skevians. That was a big Voyager episode I really enjoyed. In this game, it's just a real quick blip of like yes, no answers, right?
It's like Emanations is that way. And then some of them are like more robust, like Jetrel had a whole like multi-part mission that was not one of the, like there's the storyline missions, which is like the main meta plot. So for the season 1 sectors, that's basically Seska. And then there's the blue missions, which are like are based on episodes, but they're like multi-part missions that you do while you're within a sector. So Jetrel is one of those. Eye of the Needle is one of those. Then there's like you can kind of find other episodes, but they're just like basically away missions, like Emanations or the Skevians, Prime Factors.
Did you do the Cloud?
No, I didn't find the Cloud because you're not guaranteed to find all of them either. Well,
that's what I'm saying. So like it's a random. It's procedurally generated to a certain extent. Some things you're guaranteed to find. The Cloud was there. And again, I did State of Flux as a whole like 7 times. I just finished it the way that I'm willing to accept it last night at fucking 3:30 a.m. And only because I had to wake up for this podcast that I didn't give it yet another run. And it's easy to like think you know what you're doing. You start clicking angrily. And like, yeah, the game will absolutely like catch you in that one moment. You get greedy. I've had many shuttlecraft die with a fucking 10% failure rate because it's Voyager.
My first major failure was that I ran into was the lung stealing episode? Which one is that?
The Phage.
The Phage. I didn't take Neelix on the away team, so Tuvok got his lungs stolen, and the only way I could save Tuvok was by killing the Vidian and ripping the lung back out, but it only had a 35% success rate, and it failed. And so Tuvok died.
I finished the Phage beating the Vidians across the board and capturing them and then making them a holographic making them a synthetic lung. And as a thank you, they gave me a medical device, which I was then able to use to one-click cure the sick Kazon that Cullen was going to kill with his thumbnail poison shooter. If you'll
I just didn't let his ass onto the ship. I was like, no, fuck you.
I didn't let him on either, but the Vidian makes a full recovery, and I was able to get him, not the Vidian, the Kazon. So by the end of State of Flux, I was able to recruit Carrie as a hero. I got the Kazon to join me, who Cullen normally kills. And I got the Romulan time traveler. Pushed into the danger zone, but you can't go all the way. Because if you go all the way, he dies. But if you stop after 2 attempts, then he is copacetic. If you stop after 1 time or just refuse to help him, then he fucks off into the Gamma
Right.
Quadrant. So, like, this game, I feel like it falls along this Detroit Become Human meets Metal Gear Solid 5 ability to tap into this very dangerous part of my lizard brain where I cannot help myself and I am a drug addict.
Yes. Like,
Uh,
Faces. That was another one. I ran into Faces.
I haven't even gotten into any of this
Yeah,
stuff.
like, and you get the two Balanas. And inside there are two Balanas.
It's too bad you had your Tuvix dilemma just taken away from you. Maybe
So-
he'll merge with somebody else.
I'm just very impressed by how good a game of Voyager it is. Like,
And
these
it's
are some
simple, too.
motherfuckers who care about Voyager as a show and delved deep into the details of what if in a way that I cannot wait to just play this thing all the way through. Right? Like, I haven't even gotten out of season 1 yet. I just have been continuously re-exploring the game and trying to learn it because I want to play it on hardcore. Because I feel like that's the preferred method where you just have to live with whatever choices you make and see if you can get there. But like, I'm not even out of season 1, so there's like so much more to explore.
I don't mean it in a shitty way, but like the simplicity of the game is overwhelming in terms of like casualness, and I look forward to playing it while my kids are up because it's something again like a Civilization where there's a turn base.
Yeah, it's a perfect game. We talk about how in kind of our gaming strata, something I can pick up, play for a couple hours, and then set back down.
High value
is incredible, and it's perfect for that. So, shocking surprise, we're highly recommending Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. You should definitely play it. It's fantastic if you like Star Trek Voyager and like resource management roguelike games.
I'm looking forward to. I hope they adapted it into mobile format for
it feels like it's built for it. I was kind of shocked that it wasn't mobile,
and I think it'll be amazing. Also shocking, I'm getting a dog tomorrow. We've got the names picked out. If it was a boy, it was going to be Riker. But we're getting a girl, and it's going to be Ripley.
That's pretty good.
So, it's very good. So to celebrate, I told my wife that, I'd sit there and watch Alien and Aliens with her. So, she gets the full context. And here's the shocking part here. Up until 2 days ago, I myself had never watched Alien.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I knew what the plot was, and I wasn't into jump scares, and I just assumed it was a high jump scare movie, and I've watched Aliens many, many, many times, and I was fucking blown away by how good Alien was. And, that's a shocker. Like, wow, one of the core pillars of sci-fi was good. Who would have thought? But, like, you want to talk about a movie that just stands up as timeless. For being a product of the 70s, it does not feel dated at all. The concepts are all fresh. The cinematics are fucking on point. Like, just an amazing, amazing movie. I watched the 4K remaster, and just a terrific movie. And then last night we watched Aliens, which I've watched many times, but really watching Alien first, you get so much more out of Aliens. And I watched the 4K director cut remaster on that, and watching my wife just be swept away by Aliens. And she's not usually like a huge action movie person, like where, she'll sit there and talk about it for a while. And she has just been glowing about this movie. And I'm like, dude, when I tell you it's like top 5 movies for me overall.
Yeah, the way that the movies build, Ripley confronts this horror. It's very much a claustrophobic horror movie on a space trucker ship, and it delivers on the premise very nicely in that regard. It is like a classic slasher, and like, monster corners characters and kills them one by one. And the final girl comes through at the end, but it's the best version of that story you can possibly do. And Aliens hit because it takes a lot of time in the front half of that movie, just like building the world and introducing you to a bunch of new characters who just don't care or understand what Ripley's gone through. And then they like walk into eldritch horror and just don't know what to do. Their whole fucking plan gets blown apart in front of them. And, the core people we focused on that are your scattered survivors who are now left in charge of what's left to deal with this problem. It's a movie that just has that perfect peak where it ramps up into the action after giving you just enough time to care about what's going on with them.
It also is, I can't tell you any other movie, especially with a high death count, where they do such a good job making you like every character.
Yes.
Like, you'll have a favorite character, whatever, but like, all of the characters are rich and likable, even if they're kind of nasty. And that is a rare joy. And again, we watched the director's cut. Some of the stuff that they left out of the theatrical run is very interesting. Like showing Hadley's hope prior to the facehugger incident that Newt's dad falls under. Like, man, that kind of fucked me up. Like seeing the kids play in the hallway, like really the face to families and like, being a dad and just like knowing what's going to happen to these people. Like that's rough. The scene where you find out that Ripley had a kid, a daughter.
And she lived her life and died before she could even be retrieved. Yeah.
Makes Newt so much more palatable as a character, and the ridiculous risks that Ripley puts herself into because she has now adopted this girl as a placeholder for her own dead daughter. Like that was a crazy one that to me that they left that off the theatrical run. There was
I feel like they did those two things because they already had so much of the runtime devoted to the run up. Like when you think about like the cinematic release of like they were like, we got to get to the action. We're already spending a fucking hour getting to know these people. And that's probably why you end up cutting that stuff, because I don't need to know that Ripley's daughter died to understand why she might be
motherly,
attached to a little girl and taking care of her. Like I get that just on a base human level. So
sure. But boy, does that add a lot, and that is a great addition for. And I'll tell you the other, just we're hitting 15 minutes here as we watch this Way of the Warrior, and Worf has become quite the badass. Ripley as a badass in Aliens, it's just peak badass. Like you went from a scene where the dropship comes in, you're after the girl. It's basically the blueprint, I think, for Metroid,
yes.
Because this woman gets off a spaceship with the guns. She has taken a flamethrower and duct taped it to an assault rifle and has all of the grenades, goes into the den of evil, rescues the child, fucks everything up, pumps them full of grenades, and then leaves as everything is blowing up behind her. Like, wow, that was peak badass. How could you get more badass than that? Oh, mech boxing. We're going to have her fist fight the alien monster with the robot. Like, oh, okay. Talk about making Mount Everest.
It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like girl bossing. It feels like this bitch is just desperate enough that she has pulled the fucking straight flush. She's like, she is just doing it. And they do enough building up over 2 movies basically to make you believe she can.
Yeah. Like you talk about just building a mountain nobody else will ever be able to climb.
Yeah.
And we could talk real quick about Starfleet Academy, but in the shadow of greatness we've just discussed, it has no place there. It does not. Small and needs to be whisked away.
All I'll say about Aliens is that Vasquez is still like possibly my favorite side character in a sci-fi movie ever.
Perfect. Peak 80s, you've got a Latina being portrayed by a Jewish lady.
That's perfect. And throw some dusky stuff on her skin. We'll make it work.
Sure.
And she did that in the vampire movie they were all in too, right?
But Near Dark?
Near Dark. Basically doing the same fucking thing. All right, anyway. On to Star Trek, 20 minutes in. So we are part 3 now of talking about Way of the Warrior, and I do not apologize for that because it has been a hell of a deep, rich, textured thing for us to dive into. And when we last left our discussion, we had just got done with Worf telling Sisko that he had figured out what's going on and his discomfort with what he's been left with. And so the next scene is them going to talk to Martok about it, where Worf is kind of in the junior position now. Because we talked a lot about how like he's like a big deal Klingon fucking aristocrat, but he's a jobber in Starfleet. Now he's a jobber again, right? Sisko's the captain. He's doing all the talking. He's just sitting there like, I don't want to avoid my accountability, but I don't really get to defend myself because my boss is talking.
It is again, you've brought this complete character from Next Generation that has a movie under his belt, and you've brought him into Deep Space Nine. And how do you make this guy feel natural? How do you integrate him? Because there's no like sore thumbs in these scenes. It's just 2 different things that have a lot of potential to work well together, but they got to mesh. And it's interesting to me to watch the scene as they start talking as a crew. And it's a scene we've seen many times. It's Cisco there with all of his people around him. Now you've got the chief of security from a galaxy class from the flagship in the room with you. I mean, he's a captain now. He's not a commander anymore. But like, Worf is this big fucking deal. And there he is doing hero level discussion time on the main TV show because TNG's over. But he's standing in a room with a bunch of gas station employees, including the transporter chief from the ship that he served on with him. And now you have to give this guy who was never, ever one time in the conference room with Picard. You have to sit there and listen to him like his opinion matters. This guy's not even an officer. He's enlisted. I'm not saying it's difficult that O'Brien's a fool or anything else, but like, what a different situation for Worf to find himself in. As people are sitting around on couches and like lazy boys and shit. This isn't.
They're kind of lounging as they're talking about this stuff. This is probably my favorite scene in the episode, which is probably saying a lot for an episode that has just a ton of great moments in it. But it's my favorite because, and we've already referenced it like both of our previous episodes on this for a reason. They have probably the most authentic possible conversation about the circumstances that they're presently in that just borrows from all of the continuity of the last 3 seasons of the show. Like you would expect people who lived through all of that to talk about it, right? They aren't recapping things for the audience in an unnatural fashion. Oh, but Julian, don't you remember? Like none of that happens. They're talking about it like you would assume a bunch of professionals who've had to deal with each subsequent escalation would do so as they're trying to talk about the most recent one, because the kind of like the sort of the conch gets passed around between everybody as they recount like, well, we've got a real fucking hot potato on our hands. The Klingons are barreling down on invading Cardassia. Like we have almost no time to act. The Federation Council's not going to get involved. The Bajorans have backed that play, so we can't tell the Cardassians what's going to happen. They want to because they understand that the civilian government may have taken control there, and it makes sense to them that it would have happened. Like it's Dax and Kira who talk most about like their oppressive CIA is gone. And we already know that there was a distinct dissident movement who wanted to restore civilian control of the government of Cardassia through several episodes. Well, with the absence of the oppressive, secret police regime that the Obsidian Order represented, that is, in fact, how a civilian government could potentially, initiate some sort of low-level civil conflict where they're trying to peel off parts of the Central Command that want to take advantage of this circumstance to replace the other parts. A tension we know exists because of episodes like Civil Defense and Maquis Part 2, when they were more than willing to send Gul Dukat down the river. And he probably remembers that. So, like, all of these politics make sense as they're talking about it. It's so good.
Perfect spackle. And I want to reinforce, like, the real scope of dilemma here. This is big stuff happening. It's not best of both worlds where a cube is about to wipe Earth out and destroys like 50% of Starfleet in the process. But the geopolitical shifting that's happening right now, you have your closest ally, the Klingons, becoming actively aggressive and starting a war with people that you've taken great lengths to not go back into conflict with Cardassians, because there is a belief that what has happened on Cardassia is implausible enough that it is reasonable that this changeling threat that from the Dominion has co-opted Cardassia, and you are at risk that the enemy has infiltrated
Co-opted.
Co-opted an already highly militaristic faction in the area, and will either bring it to war with other people the way they've been trying to puppet the Federation into destroying itself and causing chaos, or really bring it to bear against the primary actors being the Federation, Klingons, and what's left of the Romulans.
Yeah, and
it's reasonable. Like,
absolutely.
The idea that the central command, like that Cardassia has fallen to the civilians. Yeah, there's been a lot of scenes we've seen where there's different dissident movements acting against them, and you've got things like legates that are sympathetic to them. But at the same time, yeah, okay, the Obsidian Order is gone, but Central Command is still a big fucking deal. Central Command is the de facto regime, right?
Right. But now, like, the factional conflicts within Central Command suddenly have all of the space to maneuver against each other,
Sure.
and a faction of that aligning themselves with a civilian government so they can replace the other part is actually a function of the politics I would expect to happen given what we've seen of it.
Maybe. I would say, and that's the great part in this, is that both sides of the argument here,
Oh yeah,
I would say, are 50% plausible.
absolutely. Like
Maybe
the Klingons are
Central
right.
Command
Yeah,
did have a real civil war, and people like Dukat are able to get out from under the yoke of people that, superiors that had no loyalty to him, and now's a great time to like reinvent yourself. And I would say with 50% confidence that, yeah, absolutely, changelings are there, and that this is too convenient, and that there is something in place. So
yeah.
you've got
The Klingons' geopolitical concern of we can't allow a middle power to be subverted by the Dominion right next to the wormhole. That's exactly the foothold that they would need. Also makes sense. Odo chimes in to say, like, this is how my people would do it. So there's no reason for me to say that this isn't possible. Every single aspect of this is being treated as equally plausible.
And then over in the Klingons, we talked about this at the tail end of our last episode. Klingons need a crusade. Klingons want violence. And even if this is a situation where the changelings aren't actually involved, like Klingons seizing this as an opportunity to go rampage and pillage and expand do classic TOS Klingon shit, and help their resource depleted empire. Like, it is such a can of fucking worms, and their Cisco is, with no clear support or game plan from Starfleet Command. His ass is right there in the middle of all of this, and having to be like, okay, guys, we are going to decide the fate of the entire galaxy as gas station employees, because we are willing to have a candid conversation that perhaps Starfleet Command isn't. And that is, we know what the rules are, and we know that we are going to have to break these rules. Otherwise, we are potentially looking at an alpha quadrant that is going to in no way resemble what it did, or what it does last week, a year from now.
I don't want to get too far away from the scene yet, because I really want to talk about Worf's monologue that you just referenced, about how he kind of cuts into the conversation of all of the normal cast up to this point, talking about all the plot they've dealt with. For him to just cut through it to say none of that is relevant, because he's got this weariness and talking about Klingons and their priors that has really been present since he came on to this, onto the scene, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in, before, that is being conveyed in everything he's doing. And he's saying, like, none of that matters. My people have been at peace too long. There's just been too many whispers of, like, we just need to conquer some shit. That's what we do. We fight. And we don't fight anymore because the galaxy's been at peace. So this is just them and getting finally this opportunity to, as you referenced last week, bust out all of our Cold War tanks and go invade our Ukraine, right? Like, let's just get it all out there and fight and die and go to Stovacor. Like, that, they believe in that, and they haven't had the opportunity to do it in a while, and that's what they want to do. And this is just an excuse. That's probably the real reason it's happening. Well, like, in the end, the conversation ends with that, because it's kind of like, yeah, none of this matters because the Klingons just want to fucking do this anyway. Because we've seen that in them during Redemption, where they do like to fight a lot, and they're not particularly tactical or strategic sometimes in how it is that they approach that desire.
Jump back to Redemption, part 2, right?
Yeah.
Worf has left Starfleet. He's serving under his brother's ship. They're getting into these life and death battles. What's his brother's name?
Kern.
Kern pulled the trick where he skimmed along the surface of a sun and then lit a fart on fire and blew up the other two people that were pursuing him. And they're drunk at the bar on some planet or space station celebrating it. And hey, there's the commander or the general of the Duras house. And he's like, motherfucker, you got away. Good on you. That was a honorable blah, blah, blah. We'll get you next time. And Worf's just kind of like, every conflict I've been in has been a morally just war. And the people on the other side have been demonstrably TNG evil. And now I am in a real, honest to God war. People are dying all over the place. And it's a game to these people. This is not a crusade in a religious sense. There is no just war happening.
No
These
genuine sense of self-preservation because they believe in dying honorably.
we're
You know?
willing to sit here and drink and joke around with people that we're going to murder and are going to try to murder us. Like, this is senseless violence for the sake of violence, and my human upbringing, I can't stomach this.
Right, which is why he walks away. And it's him reflecting on that in that comment that hits very deep of, no, I can tell you why this is actually happening. You live through
It
it.
doesn't matter what the truth is, because the truth is these guys want this. This is a game to them, and it's a game they are very eager to play. And our rules are going to cost a lot of people a lot of lives. Super powerful scene. And again,
Yes.
just watching the way that he integrates and the perfect plot spackle on this episode. How do you bring Worf and put him into Deep Space Nine and it not look like a viewership eyeball grab gimmick? Like, this scene here, like, this guy's got chemistry, that he can respect these people. This is all perfect.
Yeah, and they might have started out as gas station attendants, but clearly he's catching the vibe. These people know what the fuck they're doing, and they've seen some shit and they've done some shit. And he might not be on the flagship, the heroes of the ancient sagas, as you'll talk about. This is him realizing, like, oh, I have a different kind of role I'm going to play here. I'm not just a jobber anymore. I can really be a key management player and develop and expand and grow, as now a mature man, by becoming part of this. So,
And grow as somebody who is in a position where you don't have this guiding hand of ultimate authority.
yeah, Picard's not there as like someone unquestionably, unimpeachably correct. Like, it's a lot of gray area, and now you've got to make fucking decisions for yourself.
And I want to talk about that real quick. When you have a great boss, you are able to come up with wild suggestions. And here's what I've noticed professionally, right?
Mhm.
Your subordinates can put anything on the table wild. Like, the guys that they inflate for like car sales, they're like inflatable tube men and they blow
Yeah.
around in the wind. They can be as wild as they want because they're still pinned to the ground by the fact they're not in charge. There's somebody else there, so they can get wild and they can just say the zaniest, most out there stuff. And you need that in a group dynamic because it puts fresh ideas on the table. But you don't have to always be realistic. You can be the grumpy guy who always says we should kill them.
Correct.
When you are the boss, you need to keep things real and anchored, and reasonable. And Worf is now coming into this thing where he's going to have to start anchoring himself better. He can't just have this two-dimensional approach to everything where, all right, it's the conference table, I have to be the gruff, let's get it with violence thing. Like, I'm higher authority than almost everybody in this room. I've got this pedigree that nobody else can really touch. I can't just be zany or two-dimensional because my words go far. And people might say, yeah, okay, let's just kill everybody. And I'm going to be left with this realization that, like, oops, I didn't use better judgment here. And people are seeing my authority or seeing my resume and taking me face. It's like,
ultimately you're hitting on where his character winds up at the end, right? He switches to command track and he becomes somebody who's starting to develop their skills as a leader because he's coming to the same realization. It's not as explicit as we're saying it, but it's clear Worf understands, like, I can't just be the guy who hits the torpedo button anymore. Like, I have to actually have agency and command and make executive decisions for myself. And you and I think, are identifying with that because we've literally gone through that same evolution in our own lives and careers. And we're watching Worf do basically the same thing at around the same age you and I were doing it relative to the story.
I don't have the luxury of the best leader in the entire galaxy being my boss. I'm not saying Sisko's bad, and he recognizes Sisko and likes Sisko, but, like, Sisko needs people who are thinking, and it reflects a great, again, perfect spackle why he's here. Like, this is a guy who is ready to leave Starfleet because his comfortable, happy life is over. He's looking for a change. He thinks the change is outside of Starfleet. In fact, the change is in Starfleet, but just in a different place in Starfleet.
Correct. Yeah.
So like, it's all just, it's fucking perfect, man. And his reconnect with O'Brien is great. To see the D's destruction directly spoken about, them reminiscing about the Borg. Worf, I never doubted that we would get through it. Like, I knew we were the heroes of the show.
Yeah.
And things were great. And, we were just, those were the good old days. Those are the happy days. And, Brand's like, yeah, everything was perfect, except we just couldn't keep those holodecks running. Like, right, audience? And the audience is like, right. And then Worf's like, the fuck are you talking about?
I would never recall being a merry man. So the decision that Sisko makes that you referenced is, we have a obligation to warn the Cardassians. We cannot do that directly without violating our orders. Wait a second, isn't there a spy on board? And sure enough, he just says, hey, Mr. Garak, why don't you come up to the wardroom? I need you to measure new pants for me. And he's like, at first, Garak's like, I already got your measurements. What are you talking about? He goes, no, just come on up. It is funny to see Garak like show up and they're clearly talking about something. And he takes that second to make sure he addresses, like, are you sure you want me to be here? I know what side my bread is buttered on, but this is him saying that, like, I'm not going to betray you. Unless you're here for the expressed purpose of me doing something, and I'm going to make you say that that's what you want before I take a step forward, because I've seen what those hands can do, Benjamin Sisko. Did you not want them on my neck? So here, hold on. Are you sure? Okay. Like, I only need to be told once, but I need you to tell me.
Well, let's read into it too much. From Garak's end, like, what have I just walked into? He's asking, is this a loyalty test? I don't know what the hell's going on. Why would I have any reason to believe that the Klingons are going to go attack fucking Cardassia? Like, the zany level of what's happening right now. Like, is this a loyalty test? No, it's not a loyalty test. We need you in here to say things that I'm unwilling to say. Which, if the scene wasn't so perfect, like, you've got the spy Garak, and what a great way to, like, bring him again closer into, like, the main cast and give him agency in the show and buy-in to what's going on. Like, the fact that Sisko wouldn't just reach out to Dukat himself, who he already has a strong relationship. They're like, hey, I'm not telling you this, but because everybody's going to go, okay, Deep Space Nine fucking tipped him off. Obviously, it doesn't matter if it was Garak going to Dukat or if it was Sisko going to Dukat. Like, the information that the raid was coming came from Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine's a problem. We're going to go have beef with Deep Space Nine. But
I think there is a big difference where Sisko can say, I did not warn the Cardassians. I did not contact Dukat. You can check my communications records. So you can't court martial me. Like, that matters. Mm-hmm. That detail matters. That, like, I offloaded that responsibility to Garak. Everyone might know that's what I did, but no one will be able to prove it. Like, I have plausible deniability.
Listen, man. This is Ben Sisko. I don't care what you said, Admiral. I'm going to go into the Delta Quadrant with my gunship and rescue Odo after you.
It was a Gamma Quadrant, but I know the Delta Quadrant's been on our minds lately.
My mind's in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah, I get it.
Garak is an amazing character, and not involving him would have been a sin. This was the right way to do it. So Garak going in turn to Gul Dukat was the big shocker for me.
Yeah, I mean, halfway through the episode, hold on. We got more characters.
A wild Marsh Elmos has appeared. Garak's going to the guy that we know he hates, a guy who he killed his dad. Garak's a well-connected dude, and we reinforced earlier in the episode, like, even his contact network is hard to reach. Like, the uprising on Cardassia has been significant. The media blackout is real. There's a couple different people he could talk to. It being Dukat, shocking, because these guys fucking hate each other and have tried to kill each other.
And Dukat himself even says, like, I don't even know how you reached me. And he's like, don't worry about it. Like, Garak's like, I'm never going to tell you about my friends. Are you fucking kidding me?
Also, too, the Obsidian Order is gone. That is his legacy organization. Central Command has won the power struggle, kind of.
Now they're fighting with themselves, yeah.
And again, for these two to come together, it's a great taste. It's a great pairing. It's a conflict I'm there for. Like, that's the right storytelling element, just in the nitty gritty of the show lore. Like, very interesting. So, hey, this thing's going on, and Ducat's like, what do you mean the fucking Klingons are going to come attack us? Like, that is ridiculous. And he's like, that is what's going on. Every second counts.
You've got an hour.
That's a strong play there too. Is Central Command has been reshuffled. Ducat has a lot more opportunity and access to the new government leadership. Like, that is the right call for him to go to that. I know we don't like each other. That's how important this is that I'm actually going to you with it. You better start making moves, because the Klingons are going to stomp a mud hole in your ass. We know that the Klingons are alpha class power.
Yeah, they're a major power in the galaxy. You're a middle power. They will roll you if you do not form up a defense now.
Even if you form up a defense, they're going to rule you regardless. Like, the Federation beats your ass with Excelsiors and Mirandas. You've got...
Well, it's a difference. They're going to get pushed back, but basically they're doing this so that they don't take Cardassia Prime. That's the major concern, is that the Klingons are going to attack, and it is catching the Cardassians at such the wrong time. They're not expecting it. They're in the middle of a civil war, essentially. And if they don't get their act together and form a defense, they're going to get to Cardassia Prime before the Cardassians are going to know what's going to happening, and then it's all over, right?
Let me just say too, my eye on this: the Klingons rolling in hot and presenting the fragmented Cardassians with a unifying enemy is going to put Cardassia back on the map as a power. Like, they're not the strongest, but whatever is in there. And if it is a changeling that is in place, which I know ultimately that the Cardassians are going to join the Dominion, right? That's been spoiled for me. But, like, now you're having this unifying event that the Klingons represent, where maybe it would have taken them a while to get everybody marching in lockstep again on Cardassia in light of the Civil War. That's over now. You've got the Cardassians coming to conquer and kill everybody. So forget about what happened 15 minutes ago. What matters is right now, and that is the Klingons.
I do love that we get enough time with Ducat in this call that he makes it clear, like, yeah, I decided to usurp authority and use the Civil War to partner with the civilian government because it seemed like a good idea at the time, so that I could get out from under all of my bosses who keep trying to get me killed. Like, it's just, it pays off his plot that you and I have talked a lot about, of him going through what he went through in Maquis Part 2, going through what he went through in Civil Defense, going through what he went through in Defiant, and then, like, making some decisions in himself of, like, I need to take control because clearly the people I work for just want me to die. So he did it. He did exactly what it is you suggested he might. Like, you kind of predicted all of this.
It was the only thing that's reasonable for him. He's a smart guy.
Vampire move. I knew that's why you recognized it as what it was. Like, oh, these people are trying to kill me. I better make sure I set myself up to kill them first.
And he's a true patriot. You know, and he has seen corruption in his government. The people above him keeping him in the dark about funding the border skirmishes that were antagonizing the Maquis and exacerbating that situation, and him just being flabbergasted that his government would be taking such a bad faith effort. Again, the show is just connecting fucking dots that are so small, but can be so potent, and I love it.
So when we cut back, we get an update on galactic politics from Cisco, because the Klingons have attacked. Their warning worked, because while they pushed past the border and took some outlying colonies, they were not able to get to Cardassia Prime because the Cardassians assembled a defense. The Federation Council denounced the invasion, and in response, the Klingons went whole hog on their diplomatic relations with the Federation. They said, fuck you, we're out of the Khitomer Accords, we're pulling our ambassadors. Basically, we're not friends anymore.
I don't care if you sent it through a Taylor spy. Like, these are the repercussions. You have fucked us.
They don't even suggest that they know that that's what happened. It's essentially just a response to the condemnation.
Yeah.
As it's framed by Cisco. So it's like, the betrayal aside, they might not even know that that's the case. But what they do know is that the Federation is not backing them in their invasion, and their blood is up. So they're doing things you would expect Klingons to do when their blood is up. Oh, you don't like it? Fuck you.
Also, too, a big part of Klingons is that they're not honorable, and a lot of shit is just for show and beating your chest. So them backing out of the Khitomer Accords because the Federation chastised them, it's on brand. They can go back in. It's easy enough for Gowron to be like, oh, okay, now that we've gotten everything we want and we're done cheating, we can go back to being good boys.
And there's an immediate follow-up to this that's hilarious. It's like, oh man, the Klingons have severed all relations. The galaxy is now going to be in this incredible unstable chaos because like one of the founding principles of stability in the entire quadrant and two quadrants is now over. And then Dax interrupts to say, hey, listen, I don't know how to say this, but there's a Klingon ship that's decloaking and it says that Gowron is on board and he wants to talk to Worf. It's like, the whole galaxy is about to possibly go into flames. And the king of the Klingons has shown up to Alaska to talk to you. Like, Worf, I think you're a big deal. Like, not to Cisco, not to the Federation Council, not to Picard, not to you. He showed up to talk personally, man to man, with you. Not over comlink. No, come aboard. We're having a discussion about this. I love that because it shows that Gowron actually likes Worf. He likes him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When they caught on to board, he acts like he likes him. I think it's very authentic. Like Gowron's like, "Hey, what's up, buddy? What's going on? I told you that child's uniform is going to get you in trouble someday. Look what you did. You like fucked all this up. It's fine. It's fine. It's totally. I get why you did it. I understand. You know what? Bygones can be bygones. Just fucking come with me, bro. Let's go stop the shit out of the Cardassians.
Cardassians, they're bad guys. They're very blatantly bad guys. They've been bad guys the entire time you've been dealing with them on Next Generation. They're bad guys here, and they're probably changeling thugs. You were already looking to quit Starfleet. We're going off to glory and war. You're a big deal. I've hooked your family up as a bro move because you got me placed here in redemption or whatever. Your brother is on my council. Your family's got major holdings. You're like a prince or whatever. Like, yeah. Ditch that shit. Let's go fucking rock some fascists and take some war brides.
Yeah, like all of your prestige is a Klingon. You're just a jobber in Starfleet. Like, take the fucking uniform off and let's just go do this thing. All is forgiven. You motherfucking us on this will just not be talked about. It's actually quite an offer as far as Gowron's concerned because he does like him. He's chancellor because of him. He owes him everything.
And there's a repercussion if you don't go with him. I will kick your brother off the council. I will cost your family all of their holdings. You will be discommended. Did they say you're going to be discommended?
No, just disgraced, not discommended.
Disgraced, and you will be an enemy. So, Gowron's doing his own playthrough of Across the Unknown. He's got a chance to get Worf on his ship, and he's going through this dialogue tree. Like, it is a 10% chance that Worf will say no, or so he thinks. Worf, on the other hand, has seen what this looks like already. He was there for the Klingon Civil War. He knows bullshit when he sees it. He is the Arthurian ideal of Klingon warrior, a true honorable.
Yeah.
And he knows that does not actually exist over there. And that comes up specifically because Gowron's like, well, fuck it, dude. You just lost everything. And he's like, yep. But I got my honor, which at the end of the day is all that should matter to any of us. It does not matter to you motherfuckers at all. And what I have just done is given you the biggest middle finger in front of your crew possible. So I said, I don't care about any of the other shit. I keeps it real. All I need is my honor. I'm going back over this fucking gas station and I'll see you motherfuckers in hell.
I love that Gowron really Worf refuses him several times in this conversation, and he keeps ramping up. He doesn't want no, right? He refuses to take no for an answer. At first, he takes the good cop approach, then the increasingly bad cop approach, and then that last moment where he puts his fucking hand on his shoulder and be like, come on, Worf. I know you want to do this with me, bro. Come on. His eyes, man, like they just work so well. Like when they realize like those eyes pop, and that could just be such a way that he expresses as a character. Because again, Gowron shows up with some relative frequency, not so much in season 4, but definitely season 5 forward, and they just utilize him so well as like he's not evil. I don't know, like but he's a political operator, and he's definitely very Klingon, but he is not the man Worf is.
He's chaotic.
And he wants Worf by his side because he knows he's not Worf, and he wants that incredible Arthurian ideal Klingon honorable warrior by his side. He sees the value in it, and he's trying to get it. It's not pure realpolitik. There is personal regard here. You can see that, but it is a practical desire on his part. And when he refuses in a way that really embarrasses him, he shifts immediately. Like, now you're my enemy, and I'm going to treat you like it.
You've humiliated me.
So now we're kind of going to get to the action. We've kind of done all the build up, and now we're in the third act action sequencing stuff. And I, hate to undersell it because it's fucking spectacular. We have some build up in that Worf looks like he's going to just quit. He gets talked into staying ultimately by a combination of O'Brien and Sisko. And eventually Dukat, as the Cardassian government, as the Tapa Council, the civilian Cardassian government, saying like, hey, yeah, we're fleeing Cardassia Prime so that just in case like the Klingons actually take the fucking planet, our government doesn't fall. Can you help? And he's like, okay, yeah, I will help, because this is, you asking me to intercede in this conflict for purposes of preserving a civilian government and asylum. That's how the Federation operates. And oh, by the way, the Klingons just ended our alliance, so I have nothing holding me back anymore from doing that. I get to just decide to do this now. Gets everybody into the Defiant, and
turns on the cloak.
There's even like, aren't we not supposed to use this in the Alpha Quadrant? Like, I won't fucking tell anybody if you don't tell anyone, Julian. Like, keep that shit to ourselves, shall we?
Do you think the Romulans, who just got their asses handed to them in the Gamma Quadrant and lost like 20 warbirds, are in any position to point a finger at us?
I'm not saying that it belongs to us, but I'm just saying that the repo man ain't coming for it. We're off the grid with this cloaking device. We can do what we want with it now.
Also, we're trying to keep the Klingons in check, and where are the Klingons going to go after they stomp out one fascist organization? Do you think the Romulans might have some people knocking on the door now that they're weakened?
Before they go, there is a great kind of, Cassidy Sisko moment where Cassidy Yates is taking off, because obviously this is all about to get real rough. Sisko's about to take off because going in the Defiant to go into the middle of it. And like I said, they have really good screen chemistry together. And it, pays off in this sort of like lingering goodbye in the hallway that turns to Cassidy coming back and laying a nice stage kiss on Sisko, telling him, don't die. And it's like the right way for their relationship to develop, because they're, Cassidy's got to know, like, what happened to his ex-wife, how he feels about, losing people. Obviously, he's already interceded to save her once, and she's really falling for him, and also knows, like, I can't stop you from doing your fucking job. That's insane. But hey, why don't I give you a taste of what's to come? Let that motivate you a little bit to live. Like, it's good. It's a good way to like continue to develop that relationship, and I think they work really well as this on-screen couple.
I'm not super feeling her. Like, she's great. The chemistry's there. The plot line of a romantic backdrop for Sisko, I don't want to say it feels it does kind of feel unnecessary. There's enough going on in the show. I don't need this romantic thing, and I really hope that I'm right in that Cassidy is a changeling, and this is just setting him up for a big punch in the face emotionally. Because she has been very inquisitive, like, what's going on? What is, like, it does feel very information gathery.
We finally arrive at some action. Sisko has to essentially commit to violence against the Klingons to save the Tatapa Council, because they're ambushing Dukat's ship, beams them all board the Defiant, demands that they be checked, get blood screenings. So he's treating the possibility that they could be changeling infiltrators.
Yeah, he unlocked that technology from Martok. He's like, yeah, I will not trust anybody. Everybody will be cut.
And he does, in fact, successfully withdraw back to Deep Space Nine. But of course, Deep the Klingons are onto him now because he just blew a bunch of them up, and the cloak is damaged at the moment for plot reasons. And so now the fight is now turning to Deep Space Nine, and there's a whole bunch of Klingons about to show up who are objecting to what's happening.
When's the root beer scene?
It's during all of this. Possibly the most famous. It's a cutaway scene to get the length, the feature length that they didn't plan on putting it in first, and is probably one of the most beloved scenes in all of Star Trek. And which is kind of strange for something that wasn't even supposed to be shot to begin with.
Hey, that's the fucking byline of Deep Space Nine. You take what was the last episode we just watched that they weren't even meaning to write, and it turned into
the Dias Cast.
The Dias Cast. So Deep Space Nine writing anything that is unscheduled.
And when he's got a riff. Yeah.
That's where the gold is. Yeah.
It's a great scene for, just the surface level conversation that Garak and Quark are having about their circumstances. And it's such a fantastic way to talk about the Federation that makes it feel real. Because you can imagine, like, conversations like this being had about the United States during the Second World War or something, between like a Frenchman and an Italian who were, getting freed from fascist yoke of like, can they pull it off? Like, I hope so. Like, we're kind of counting on them.
This has been the secret sauce of Deep Space Nine, is that you have this amazing external view that you're able to have great conversations with strong actors, with strong characters, to discuss this thing that you watched all of original series and you watched all of Next Gen, and we've always been a Starfleet point of view on every matter. And here we've had Deep Space Nine, where you've got Jake, and you've got Quark, and you've got Odo, and you've got Kira, and these people that are outside of sometimes completely outside of every military structure, but all of them are outside of outside of Starfleet, and looking at not only Starfleet but the Federation as a whole. So this is a great payoff, because you've had a lot of running commentary from both Quark and Garak about the feasibility of Earth doctrine. For Garak, a lot of that was conversations in regards to like literature and Shakespeare, and how, like, with the human soul, right? What humanity is as a concept. You got a lot of discussions from Quark in terms of like dollars and cents practicality. And just the framing on all of this is great, because you've got root beer, which is this metaphor of hope and being good.
And being inviting, being sweet, sort of a cloying, pleasurable experience.
Wholesome.
Wholesome, but it's annoying, and how it's so earnest and so idealistic.
Let's talk about that, because this is a conversation we have had. The most implausible part of Star Trek isn't the warp drive or the transporter. It is a post-scarcity utopian humanity
it's the Federation ideals being sincerely held by everybody.
It is,
for the most part,
Earth able to move past every single global conflict, greed, money, religious strife, and everything else. And the first season Roddenberry portrayal of human beings as something that, they're Homo sapiens, but they are not the people that you and I are by a long shot. And that is specifically, I think, the conversation that they're having here is like, these aliens, they seem so simplistic. War is coming, blood is in the water. Are these guys going to be able to hold up?
And they're counting on them. Like, we don't, like, as much as they are critical and maybe find it annoying that they have to deal with it, both Quark and Garak are unironically and unabashedly rooting for the Federation. Like, they are the best hope we have of a future, and they both know it.
Garak has to be here, because if he leaves Deep Space Nine, there were elements that were going to kill him. And granted, that's shifted recently, but, and also he has officially joined the team when he turned his back on his former boss and mentor, and, really unofficially put a comm badge on. Quark, on the other hand, has been through a lot of shenanigans, but he is still a Prophets guy. Why is he staying on this station when all the Klingons are clearly gearing up for something he sees reflects? Like, I would have liked a scene somewhere where he's like, this is real dangerous and crazy, but boy, the opportunity for profit offset is real here. Either money or opportunity to work more with the Nagus and advance myself through the Ferengi political apparatus or whatever he represents. Like, he could have and should have cleared out a long time ago. So his buy-in here, I think you really have to fall back and go, all right, he does have a family element, a connection to this crew, and a loyalty to this station at this point for him to be here when it's absolutely a bad idea.
So when the Klingons roll up to Deep Space Nine, we get another bunch of spackle and plot points that get paid off. Because we have heard, and you have noticed, for many episodes in season 3, up to here in season 4, where O'Brien and Kira were the ones left behind. There's actually a quick scene where O'Brien's trying to finish the upgrades to the station before the Klingons show up. And there's like I don't know why it is they shot it this way, but it's kind of endearing, where he goes to Kira, well, one of two things are going to happen. They're going to work, or they won't, and we're all going to explode. And he kind of like does it in a sort of like jokey conversational way with his face facing away from camera, that like, and like Kira smiles and laughs at him. They're almost flirting over it, and goes right back into like fixing like whatever pieces he's trying to fix within ops.
These are the people that have the shared background.
Yeah.
We've murdered a lot of people
while she was acting like a hooker. I mean, like, they've done this.
No, we have both come from a war background, and we have both been in this position before where there's a very high chance we are going to die with the invading superior force coming. And this is just how it goes. We're the underdog here, and we'll see what happens.
Fuck it. But they roll back in, and boy howdy, did Deep Space Nine get some upgrades. It didn't just get like tactical systems, it didn't get like better computers. It has 5,000 photon torpedoes.
The capacity of the station used to be 6,000 people. We can now hold about 5,000 people because we have to turn a lot of bedrooms into photon torpedo storage.
Shields, phasers. This is the very first time we've seen a space station throw down, and like what it looks like when a fixed position with guns on it in Star Trek looks like. An entire fleet of Klingon ships shows up, and Deep Space Nine successfully repels the entire fleet. Destroys, I think at one point they said he's already destroyed 9 vessels, like early in the fight. The CG here is obviously spectacular. They show you these fucking giant torpedo launchers with these magazines, like just shooting off. There's ships everywhere. These great top-down shots of like, shit getting shot, Klingons making runs. Considering when this is made, this is probably one of the more spectacular uses of early CG as it relates to at least to Star Trek, maybe even as a whole. It's kind of impressive even now.
Deep Space Nine goes ape shit. Okay, this is I feel like an apology letter from the production team of Star Trek to everybody who has ever read a technical manual.
Yes.
Saw where all of the phaser banks were on the Galaxy class and always wondered, why do they only shoot the ones on the saucer? If you've got the guns, why aren't they shooting? Well, here it is. All of the guns shooting all of the things. And again, just the Klingons, what they bring into war, these birds of prey that are from Kirk era, just getting shredded. Like, what business did these things have being out there in combat? What were they going to do against Cardassian galore cruisers? They don't care. The Klingons were willing to put any ghetto sled into service and put people that were ready to die because they needed this crusade to cool people off. The blood wanted it. So they're ripping through ships that are, almost a century old, and nobody cares. The Klingons aren't like, oh shit, this is bad for us. There's no steady hand of judgment. They're loving it. This is glorious. They're going after the Federation. No fucks are being given, and that's the way that Cisco has to run this thing is like it's all or nothing right now. We've brought this in. We know these guys have a bloodlust, and the only way through this is
we have to bloody their nose. We can't like he tries to talk them out of it, but he realized pretty early on in the conversation, like I'm going to have to use some amount of force to get them to leave. I'm not, like he's not trying to kill all the Klingons. He is like trying to give them a way to just exit from the circumstance. But it's like I'm gonna have to present a credible threat, and I'm gonna have to kill some of these people if they're gonna get it because they're Klingons. There's no other way for them to understand. Which is true, was what you just said. We, of course, then get, oh no, some of the shields are down. And that means we're going to have boarding parties. And Lord have mercy. Has Ops of Rage looks like child's play compared to what happens in this episode. You get a mass of Klingon warriors beams into Ops, and you get subsequent shots of Kira dealing, Worf dealing, Cisco double dealing, just wiping the floor with these guys. Especially Worf, obviously he's got his mech left, and he's just like putting moves down and that are like he is a master Klingon martial artist. We've kind of established that about his character. Now we're seeing it.
Yeah.
Kira's just fighting like a dirty terrorist. Cisco's fighting like a man like possessed that could just take on 5 Jem'Hadar at once. I'm just, it's just the way it is. I think it like doesn't even Dax is like killing a bunch of Klingons on the side, and then I forget who like peels off to like help O'Brien because O'Brien's murder abilities only work on Cardassians. He doesn't know what to do.
He's a ranger. Not that favored class. He's helpless. I like the prep for the attack too. Bashir being like, "Listen, these guys are after honor. Expect to see a lot of
stab wounds.
Like they're going to be coming in. They're not going to be using disruptor pistols. These are guys coming in with their batleths. I mean, it all looks good.
Even Bashir gets a body because he gets the guy who's going to get Odo and like just zaps him.
I call bullshit. I'm not willing to put this as a weak as shit contender. The idea that the shields are down and this swarm of bloodthirsty Klingon warriors that are stronger than humans and all the things we know about Klingons, and that they are going to beam in and invade the ship and win. Basically, they're going to lose every fight. Like, you can't have the heroes lose, but I needed Odo in Ops doing crazy shapeshift stuff, like really tipping the scales. I needed all of the Federation people to be using phasers where the Klingons were only willing to use bladed weapons, or some scene like, this is for glory, no disrupt. Again, when I see humans, when I see Kira Nerys beating warriors who just train and nonstop, like, there needed to be a little cheat. We're going to do something in the air that makes it hard for Klingons to breathe, or something else. Like, it's a feel-good moment watching the heroes beat ass, but it's a little flimsy to me.
No, I loved it for what it was. Like, you don't get to see your heroes all just like throwing hands successfully like this in Star Trek very often.
What TV show have you been watching?
Well, like all of them though. Like everyone gets in on the action. Every single heroic character, like Dukat and Garak. Look, Garak shows up to help defend the Dutapa Council because he wants to talk to them. Dukat is gatekeeping them because he realizes that he can't let Garak do that. And so they wind up, like, they've got the 2 Federation guards outside, and then they've got their phasers. When they cut back, there's like a strewn of bodies in the hallway. Both the Federation guards are fucking dead. Like, and they're like bloodied, and they're still like trying to kill these guys. And like Dukat is like clearly hurt. Like, it's bad. There's like it's cool to see all of the heroic characters pressed and having to like get violent.
There's a lot of plot armor that has been issued.
Yeah, but come on. We can allow it. Eventually, they get the shields fully back up, and Gowron, not Martok. Martok wants to press the attack. Gowron's the one who's like, it's time to go. He gets I guess convinced in a way by, wasn't it like they rehailed him, and like Worf basically spoke to him to say like some saying from Kahless that like you can, with an honorable retreat, from a superior force is correct. And he kind of like convinces him on that basis. It obviously connects with Gowron. So it's kind of like the last piece of their personal connection to each other. Like, I'm telling you, you need to fucking leave. We're not giving up. And he gets it. But says like, this is it. We're enemies now. Like,
I'm gonna give
maybe
you the eyes.
yeah. The war has not been declared, but we are not friends. And they leave. And we get a wrap up here at the end. We get a quick shot of all the Federation ships showing up, including Galaxy class Venture. By the way, this is something that is going to be, I think it's in the Dominion War technical guide, but you've brought it up several times, so I'm going to make sure I tell you, because this is what the show is going to assume moving forward. They are, at this time, there is at least 12 Galaxy class ships now, because the original 6 have been supplanted by an additional 6. And so there'll be more of them on screen than you would otherwise anticipate. And that's addressed in the technical manual from the Deep Space Nine Dominion War volume. But you've made a mention of the elite nature of that ship enough times that I thought it was.
Are these real Galaxy classes, or are these wartime, fuck all the civilian stuff, build these things out as warships?
I mean, the details aren't in the show themselves, but if we are accepting the technical guides as essentially
the only books I care about are technical manuals.
They are Galaxy class ships minus like all the scientific bells and whistles have not been installed, and there are no civilians on board. They have been rushed into service for the purpose of utilizing it as a platform rather than as a ship of exploration, because it's powerful and it's very powerful weapons, and you want to use them. So and the big change at the end is that Worf has decided to accept a position permanently on Deep Space Nine as the Strategic Operations Officer, which is not the Chief of Security. He's essentially in charge of the larger sort of combat battle plans that go outside the station. This is going to get a little bit better defined as time goes on. He's essentially the captain of the Defiant, all things considered. Like, he's kind of like the guy. He's the heavy that Cisco sends out in the Defiant to deal with problems.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be keeping in mind the question you asked of, does Worf make the show better?
Yes.
In this episode movie, yes, absolutely. I would say this is a story you really couldn't have told without Worf. But again, I don't feel like there was really a Starfleet component that was missing in any of the episodes prior to this. So adding a new Starfleet guy in the main cast and crew, like, is that going to take things off of other people's plate, or is he going to do better things with show concepts that have been here the whole time? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like the Klingons are kind of occupying a piece of the Cardassian space that they already seized. So that conflict is going to continue, and things are going to get progressively more tense as a consequence of what's happened. But
yeah, real quick, I want to talk about that. By the end, they have taken down a bunch of Cardassian colonies, and they are not retreating from that. So Cisco's chilled things out, and the attack on Cardassia Prime has stopped. But the Klingons are in space with permanent fixtures now. They're not hovering over Deep Space Nine waiting for problems to fall out of the wormhole that they can attack. But you have hostile elements, very freshly hostile, very close, and that's going to complicate things for the Cardassians too. So now Cardassia presumably has been unified under this common foe, and predisposed to being, very sweet with the Federation that just saved its ass, and that is fully othering the Klingons. So what's going to happen with the Klingons towards those two factions, and what's going to happen with the Cardassians now that the occupiers have been occupied?
All these things are going to come up, my friend. This show can't help itself but enjoy exploring those points, as we have just spent 3 episodes ourselves delving into in depth. So at long last, we are going to move past Way of the Warrior. We're going to finally really start talking about more of season 4. And what episode are we going to watch next?
We're going to be going into season 4 episode. We're going to call it 3 or 2.
We'll call it 3 because that way we don't confuse ourselves for an entire season.
All right, we're going to stick with Memory Alpha. The Visitor. After an accident in the engine room of the Defiant apparently claims the life of Benjamin Sisko, Jake lives out his life in an endless quest to locate his father. Well, that's a little spoilery. We'll see, huh?
The episode tells you that that's what it's about right off the rip, so I wouldn't call it a spoiler. But this episode is considered one of Deep Space Nine's finest. As like a emotional storytelling.
So this is Inner Light, obviously. I mean, anytime you have
yes.
I'm living my entire life, like that's the easiest way to cheat heartstring pulls that exist in this world.
Let's just say this one's a big favorite among fathers everywhere, and we'll talk about it here. We'll see.
Got one right here.
I know.
I'm so excited to watch more Star Trek Deep Space Nine after. I think it's been 3 weeks since I watched an episode.
So, yeah. The limited season 4 has no shortage of bangers. So, while I don't think we'll do 3 episodes on it, I think we're going to enjoy our journey for this year going through season 4. Thank you to all of you who have joined us and enjoyed our initial reviews here, and we'll see you next week.